an operation and removed the cyst over my left eye, and they used what they used that they used ether instead of stuff to put you to sleep. In this case, I went to sleep. My heart stopped beating. I stopped breathing. The doctor shoved the utensils and everything aside, grabbed me, and started doing mouth resuscitation. And a little 3-year-old boy like me. And later they told me that they had just been taught how to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation just a few months before that happened. So anyway, so they restored life.
Hey, Ken, it's still recording muffled. Can we do something different? Can you set your phone down and put it on speaker, or do you have it on speaker?
I have it on speaker right now.
Well, just now you sounded perfect. When you said I have you on speaker, it was real loud. But it's been going. So
wait a minute,
I don't know what's causing it.
I'm going to try something here. 1 moment.
Now you sound great. I don't know what you did different.
I was going to disconnect my power to my cell phone and see if that makes any difference. But no, that should be it. Well, maybe I'll talk it to the microphone at the top of the phone. Does that help where I'm at right now?
Yeah, you're sounding real clear right now.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll talk directly into the little things at the top of the cell phone. Anyway, back to it. At 3 years old, they decided to do the tonsillectomy, and the same doctor that had removed the cyst and brought me back to life. He said I had come to closest to staying dead on him than anybody he had ever had as a patient. At any rate, so my position has always been, God had a plan for me, and I had to stay around it. So it's been a fascinating life and experiences, and a lot of tragedies and things. And if we had a couple of months, I'd be happy to go over it with you. So, but right now, just to go back there. Once I went off to military school, went to the Oklahoma Military Academy, went up through there, and then I wound up joining in the Marine Corps. My best friend, here I was a captain in ROTC. My best friend at the academy comes in that one night. He says, "Well, Ken, I joined the Marine Corps." Now, that mind you, this was right when we were getting really big in the war over in Asia with I can't even think of the name of the place. It was pretty bad back then. At any rate, my position was wow, this happens to me sometimes as something else jumps in and I kind of go blank trying to get to where I was. But becoming a pilot. So I joined the Marine Corps, and then I had qualified to become a pilot. So I ceased being an enlisted, and I went over to Pensacola, Florida, and became a pilot on jets instead of that. And then I got out and went to NASA in Houston, where my brother was, and which is where I became one of the civilian astronauts with the Grumman Aerospace Company that was taking care of the lunar module spacecraft. So I have over 3,000 some odd hours as a spacecraft pilot, but I never left the planet Earth doing it. But we did them in vacuum chambers and tested everything before we had Neil and Buzz and the rest of them to use the lunar module to land on the moon. So anyway, that gets you there. Then after we had succeeded in those, and I had 20 years in, the government started cutting back contracts and laying tons of us off. And I wound up going back out to the West Coast and working for aerospace companies, and finally got enough time in. Now, you said you told me how old you were. Well, let's see, I was born in 1942, so I'll let people figure that one out, because some of them consider us a little bit old, but age has a lot to do with what you're thinking. Maybe I am getting old because I'm having a little trouble keeping track, and that goes someplace. Oh, that reminds me, I could do that, but I have this character that's inside my library. You just heard him. He's an alien. But anyway, let's see. With that, NASA, and I died, and I came back, and now I'm working with some people on becoming one of the team members to go to Mars and start our base on Mars. I think that's probably enough information. you can go and find Ken Johnston with the TJ, which is TON, on the internet, and send me a message, and we'll take off and go from there, as communicating like we've been friends most of our life on the internet. Okay, is that enough information?
Yeah, would you like to sort of mention how you and I met in 1969 back in NASA days when we were going to walk on the moon and stuff? When you were keeping the pictures, you want to talk about that?
Oh, well, I can do that, right. One of the jobs and duties that I had over at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, and my job there, though, was actually taking the samples that the astronauts brought back from the moon and then get them in the quarantine area so the scientists and people could then start studying those. And in my office, it was a data and photo control department, and I think that is where I ran into TJ for the very first time. You know, we were considerably younger back then, TJ. Yeah, but
we were a lot better looking. I know that. I don't know how. I was way before my years, or I wouldn't have been able to come and go and have clearance in my paperwork and all that. But they chose me right out of a James Bond movie.
Oh, really?
So.
Wow.
Yeah, Richard Allen Miller told me who it was out of Washington, D.C. And then Strom Thurmond called me when I was, my name Thurmond, but I was in investigations, and he was doing ancestry work. And then he had his people, his secretary called me and put me on. But I was going to talk to you about that Roswell book, if you had it close by, too, because he was asking me what I knew about UFOs. So I think between him and J. Allen Hynek, and then my clearance, and then they had me, come back in to uniform after I went out of country and worked the European theater, right? And then African Inc. UK. But you weren't involved in all that. You had already left Grumman when they brought me back in from ACIR then. So we've got Allied Command Intergovernmental Relations going on now. But did you by chance grab that book the day after Roswell?
You believe it or not, I have been searching this little library I have here, and I have not located that particular book. I was going to say one of my books is Ken's Moon, and that's sort of an autobiography, but it goes through all the background and things and events and things we did, and the fact that I was in a position where I got the pictures of things that were taken by the crew on the lunar surface that shows the existence of the little extraterrestrial things on the lunar surface. Anyway, that's all in the book. As far as where we are,
and that's available. Yeah, that's available on Amazon, like mine, Knowing Cosmology. And Richard and I and you are working on a new book for hopefully this year. Or maybe 2022 before your birthday, October 2nd. But, okay, well, that's okay if you can't find it. We'll cover that another day. The main thing is we qualify ourselves this month because, it was May 10th was our anniversary of 50 years, and in 2017. And you and me met at the University of Southern Alabama, and there were other people in our meeting. And we had, but two of the officers have stepped down. And Richard has agreed to take on Janet's place. So he is now our director for the official ACO beginning in 2021 as of officially today, even though he's been helping me with radio. But today we're claiming our director's seats as a nonprofit for Florida. And it's actually Allied Command Intergalactic Relations we're handling, ACIR, and we have ACIR radio. But my company is American Communications Online, so I've got ACO Wi-Fi as a direct line in my house and another big phone. But we're going to run all our radios and everything in our future events under Ascension Cosmos Oracles if we do funding for nonprofit. And then all three of us pastors on Sunday have Ascension Center. We have Ascension Center Organization always as the unincorporated association, but it's very confusing with the ACOs. But we have Ascension Church Ohana ACO as well for Sunday shows. But folks, I'll be having them as separate entities in separate domains on the YouTube channels, and then each one of us will run our own free social media with Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter are the main ones. And Richard and I are working on Instagram with Gwendolyn Adams Evans, because she's more up on her Instagram and has many more followers, so she may show up. And she likes Ken. She showed up Sunday, but she has to do it. She does so many shows, and 2 or 3 on Sundays, but she tries to show up an hour on Sunday. So tune back in if you're interested in Gigi Adams, and I've noticed a lot of people of hers on Facebook wanting to join me. So apparently she's out there doing social media work, Ken, so I wanted you to remember Gigi. If you'll write that down on your notes, G-I-G-I. Okay, G-I-G-I space A-D-A-M-S, and she wanted to talk to you and see more about your book. And she is Richard's friend. Richard and her did shows for 8 to 10 years. I guess we can find them on her. Was it Gee Whiz, Richard? Just sort of inform everybody a little bit about that history, because we're 9 years with this brand, TJ Marsh Ichi Radio. But since you're new with it, Richard, let Ken know and everybody in our association around the world. You and Gigi, right here, folks, on the same BTR, which is now bought by Box Nest, which is bought by Spreaker and iHeart. iHeart is now the big conglomerate, IHEART. And Ken, write that down. That's the biggest umbrella under. It's a big, big brand. So Richard started here with us a few years back, 9 years or so, running on another channel with Gigi. Do you remember the name of that, Richard, by chance?
It was still Blog Talk Radio. So
what was the name of the show for your
archives? I don't remember now. There's been way too much water under the bridge since then.
Okay. Well,
but anyway, if you can probably go on to Blog Talk and do research. Search for spiritual shows or spiritual content, and it'll probably show up. And of course, you can either put my name in or Gigi Adams Evans, because she's running now. Of course, G Whiz Productions, which you can find her on the internet by that.
Atlanta, yeah.
Right.
So she'll be back with us, folks. But she's Pastor Gigi, and she's all in. So we needed a fourth wheel or a third wheel, whichever one shows up on Sunday, or the hour if Richard and I aren't here, or Ken. But Ken, me, and Richard have been a mainstay for the last 2 weeks. So I guess we'll keep rolling along, rolling down the river, so to speak. Well, Ken, now Richard's been doing radio here just on another channel, but we've got him here for a couple of months. But no, actually February through today, so that's not too bad for 2021. February, March, April, May. Yeah, 4 months right here, folks. So I know you've got 4 months of history on Richard for all you historians that want to research him. And Ken's real easy because he's got his book. And Richard and I, bless his heart, he came to me right off the beginning with a huge book that I just didn't have time to help him because it's so hard to get to people's books they've already done. But I told him I'd help him with his next book if he would get his book up, on, Kindle and Amazon, like Ken and I, so we can all sort of be even. So Richard's working on that. It's on his round to it list, right, Richard? Or is it on your bucket list?
No, it's on my list.
Great. Well, now we can get started. I think we're through all the introductories. So now back to this whole thing of what we're building here. It's off of my Ascension Center organization and my downloads and my book, Knowing Cosmology, Ken. And I still promise to get Richard my book, Life Coaching, because we're going to be doing some life coaching here too. And I do a lot of things and a lot of hats. So does Ken, and so does Richard. And Ken was our main big boss spokesperson at all these UFO events. And he got started I guess we could start with the UFO stuff, and unless Richard